I call the member for Murray.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I think this debate is a great way to define the differences between the two sides of this parliament. What we have on one side is somebody who calls it as they see it and acknowledges that, yes, there's a whole range of challenges in relation to funding and continuing to improve on a health service that tends to grow in most Western societies and most Western countries at around 5 to 6 to 7% each year on year. And that puts an incredible strain on the budget of all those first world countries, when so many other parts of the economy are potentially stagnant or maybe growing at 1 or 2%. And this creates a real challenge. But at least with the coalition, we have the decency and the honesty to acknowledge that we've got real serious challenges. On the other hand, what we have is a series of mistruths and lies that come out of the Labor Party. Not only do they get found out for these lies, but they're incredibly proud of telling these lies to the Australian public. They're incredibly proud of the fact that even though they've been caught out with the Medicare campaign in the campaign, they use it as some sort of badge of honour, that they are so deceitful that they think that we can put one over the Australian people, and they wear it with this incredible honour. As the member for Barrow has stated earlier, when the opposition leader was caught out on radio in the days and weeks leading up to the election and asked if he could give us one skerrick of evidence about the fact that is there any truth behind the Medicare campaign at all, he was unable to furnish one skerrick of evidence about the so-called Medicare, the fact that we could somehow or other privatise a system that costs us $15 billion. I'd like to see who's going to buy that one. But anyway, irrespective, the ridiculousness of the Medicare campaign has been borne out in the months following the election. But it's just this incredible attitude of the Labor Party where they still tend to revel in the deceit and the dishonesty associated with the entire campaign. It is beyond belief. However, the previous member, Mr Danby, the member for Melbourne Ports, at least started his contribution by saying when the Medicare freeze and the rebate was put in place 6 years ago, and then he went on with the rest of his campaign, at least he acknowledged that it was the Labor Party that started the Medicare freeze, the rebate freeze. It was the Labor Party that put this freeze in place. So, and if we start from that point of honesty, then maybe we can go along and look at what are the rates now. What are the rates now of Australians that are using the bulk billing system? And quite simply, again, in 2012-13, I don't know what the member for Sydney was talking about when she wanted to talk about the trajectory of bulk billing, but in 2012-13, 75.1% of Australians were bulk billing. In 2013-14, it went to 76%. 14 and 15, now coalition government, 76.9%. Steady increases in the percentage of all visitors to a doctor, the percentage of all Australians accessing bulk billing, increasing year on year. And in 15-16 and 16-17, it's been 77.1% of Australians that are now accessing bulk billing. So the statistics and the facts put a further lie to the claims and the outrageous claims that have been put forward by the Labor Party. Once again, they get caught out. In relation to bulk billing rates state by state and in through electorates, the seat of Murray for total Medicare, 79% of people that live in Murray are able to access bulk billing. So yes, it'd be great if we lived in a fairyland world where money was no object and where we weren't spending $100 million a day more than we are making. If we had no budgetary pressures, if the Labor Party had its way, we know where it would go in relation to higher taxes, where it would go in relation to further spending, putting greater pressure on business. Absolutely, as the Prime Minister said today, not one policy that is going to actually be good for the economy, not one policy that's going to create one job not one policy that's going to actually fix up the deficit that we are going to hand on to our kids, and it's only the coalition that has the courage to balance the budget.
The time for the discussion has concluded.